From Memorial Stadium in downtown Charlotte, North Carolina, a sellout crowd on hand for round 9 of the AMA's Supercross season. Hello, everyone. Art Eckman along with Dave Despain. And once again, we find an entire field looking for ways to defeat Jeremy McGrath. He's lost only 2 races of the 8 so far this year and always comes back with a vengeance after a loss.
He's virtually locked up this championship unless something bad happens, an injury being the worst scenario. And as a result, you've got a lot of guys that are being paid a lot of money to win races and win this championship who, in fact, week in and week out are racing for second place. As a result, they are somewhat desperate, and that desperation has led to an occasional controversy.
We just moved past the halfway point of the season. Let's take a look back. The series premiere in Orlando, Florida. Larry Ward got the whole shot, led for the first 4 laps, Dave.
And then was passed in what may have been the defining moment early. Watch this move by McGrath. Up the inside, no contact, block pass, gone. He wins.
McGrath, also the fastest qualifier, led from lap 5 on, and Larry Ward went for a ride of his own, just barely nipping Stanton in the back.
Jeff Stanton at this point was my pick to win the championship. Shows what I know. That's Mike LaRocco, the defending champion, en route to second in the opener.
Stanton finishing a 3rd, and Jeremy McGrath answering the question, hey, was last year a fluke? No way. Round number 2 in the Houston Astrodome, and so much for saying that he can't come from behind, because number 1, Jeremy McGrath, did just that.
And LaRocco once again grabs the runner-up spot, still looking for the win. Won't come at Anaheim. He broke the bike there.
He cased it and lost the crankcase. An awful day for LaRocco, who thought that he was in good position to challenge number 1 for the points championship.
Number 6, Jeff Emig, one of the guys involved in those controversies we talked about. He's collided with a few people trying to win one of these things. Hasn't happened yet. There's Jeremy making it 3 straight.
As he returned to the scene of his very first Supercross victory, we go to San Diego. He had the flu all week long and was fighting it during the race.
This was the race that gave us an indication that Michael Craig, number 19, was ready to win. He got out front, led it a long time, then faded. Kudrowski
came up for a 3rd place here in San Diego. But it was Jeremy McGrath coming through once again. He took the lead on lap 11 and the checkers.
And Craig held on for 2nd place. Tampa was where the string broke.
That was a totally different story for Jeremy McGrath. A crash on lap 5, but he showed great heart to come back and take 5th place points as Michael Craig wins his very first Supercross victory. He led every lap and moved into 2nd in the point standings going into Atlanta, Georgia. But number 1 came back.
Came back this time despite chicken pox of all things. Flu, chicken pox, bad starts. He's beaten them all. Jeff Stanton finally came to life here.
Daytona Beach, Florida, and Mike Kudrowski returned to the scene in grand style of last year's victory, gaining another one this season. Indianapolis, Indiana. McGrath returns to winning form for his 6th victory of the season on a very tight track. Jeff Emig, his best finish of the year in 2nd place. Mike LaRocco, the whoops did him in, but he took a 3rd.
Are these McGrath fans or Pearl Jam fans? Jeremy indeed has spoken.
In his most effective way. A 47-point lead as we go into tonight's race in Charlotte, North Carolina. Welcome back to Charlotte, North Carolina, where the riders tonight will be faced with another tight, very technical whoop section and track.
They're going to find that first turn particularly difficult. They come off the starting gate into that weird little kink that's going to be a challenge.
Once again joining us, Moto World 2's host, Jerry Bernardo.
Here in North Carolina, we have limited space for building the track. This track is what we call, it's kind of like a tweener. It's not as big as a Supercross track we're used to, and it's a little bit larger than an arena cross track. Check it out. This is going to make everything a little bit difficult for guys like the riders and Rich Winkler, who designed this track. Strictly and purely for the world's entertainment, the Supercross bus has landed in Charlotte, North Carolina. The man, Rich Winkler, will design a track that's going to be a little entertaining because it's going to be so tight. Limited space. Explain, please.
Well, absolutely. Charlotte's the smallest venue we're going to be in 1994, and with the things that the promoters and the fans expect, like the triple jumps on either 50-yard line and, of course, the start down the center, leaves us not so much room left to put in what the riders would consider as technical or difficult track sections.
Okay, passing obviously is going to be a factor. Do you think it's going to be difficult for them out there?
Boy, I hope not. I mean, of course, my goal is to make it where passing is everything. So instead of shrinking down the width of the lanes, I've tried to shrink down the distance between the lanes and the distance between the outer lane and the wall and leave them enough room to pass.
Oh, Dr. Winkler seems to think we're going to have a good show out here tonight, but we're going to go to the riders. They're going to be out here roosting, doing big jumps, clicking. There's going to be like knack-knacks, can-cans, hole shots. Let's go to the riders and see what they have to say about all this. Is that all right with you?
Okay.
Let's do it.
The track's a little bit shorter than normal, but the whoops are really good. And we've been needing that for the past couple of years. And I think that, you know, with the whoop sections being bigger and tougher, it's going to make it a lot more demanding, and it's going to show who is better at certain spots than just, you know, every race so far has been the triples, and it seems like everybody does everything. I mean, there ain't nothing out there that no one else can do. So I think the whoops is going to be showing the speed and who's stronger and tougher.
Yeah, the track seems pretty good. It seems a little bit tighter than normal because they got smaller space to work with. But, you know, I think it's good. I think it's more technical being small. You got to have better lines and all. So the hoops seem pretty technical and deeper than they have been before. So I think it'll make any good racing.
Yeah, track's tight. It's going to cause a lot of close racing. I mean, jumps are really close, and you know, a lot of 180 corners. Yeah, the guys are going to be really close tonight. I think it's going to be a exciting one.
Action highlights from qualifying heat number 1. Out of the 2 qualifying heats, the top 4 riders in each heat go directly to the main. There's Lamson getting set. A 30-second board is up. And the butterflies now starting to disappear as they go through their nervous routines of revving the engines and waiting for that gate to drop.
So much is riding on the start here, in part because of that tricky first turn. You want to be the first guy through there and not have to worry about what happens behind you.
Will it be a Yamaha again? They've had almost every hole shot this season.
We're going to know in about 3 seconds.
Qualifying heat number 1 underway, and it's Larry Ward, number 11, getting the hole shot. Lamson is right there with him. Larry Brooks, number 31. Moving into second place as Lamson takes the lead in these highlights.
Good start for Lamson. He held his line through there, got off the gate pretty well, and actually managed to get around Brooks, who immediately ran into trouble.
And right here it happens. He was running a good second for 3 laps before going down, and the 2 Kawasaki's then moved up a notch. Mike Kudrowski, number 3, and number 7, Mike LaRocco.
See how tricky the whoops are. You get that front wheel wrong, then the rest of the motorcycle just follows. Wrong is wrong, and you're on your head.
Larry Ward in 4th, number 11. Steve Lamson, though, establishing the fact that he was the fastest qualifier of the evening, breezes to the easy checkered flag with Kudrowski, LaRocco, and Ward going directly to the main.
First time ever as fast qualifier. Might this be the breakthrough night for Steve Lamson, still looking for his first win? Let's go to Jerry.
All right, Steve Lamson, I don't know if it was my little pep talk or your awesome riding that just led you to that victory. Let's hear it in your words.
Yeah, I said it had to be a little bit of you, a little bit of myself. I just went out there and got the whole shot and rode smooth, never looked back.
You're going to do that again in the main? I mean, you were styling through those whoops, just staying up on top, and rumor has it they're kind of tough.
Yeah, it is. That's probably the most technical part of the track, so I'm going to just go out there and give it my all and get a good start and hopefully win.
The second qualifying heat featured riders like Emig, Craig, Swink, Stanton, and number 1, Jeremy McGrath. And the example of that tight first and second turns comes into play here in qualifying.
Yeah, I think this is really kind of inevitable. Keep your eye on the first turn as they launch, and particularly watch what happens to number 1, Jeremy McGrath.
Emig will get the whole shot, but Emig starts a chain reaction as he goes down just before the second turn. And it is a cavalcade.
Everybody behind him ran into him, ran over him. Lots of, you see number 15, Eric Kehoe there. Somewhere in the bottom of that is number 6, and right on top, number 1.
In this scenario, Stanton looked up at McGrath saying, "Help me out." McGrath turned back and said, "Help me out." They couldn't get untangled.
The rest of the field had in fact completed almost a lap before some of these guys got out of here, and the result was a scoring nightmare, obviously, for Team Honda. Big problems. 2 of their top stars in trouble.
The guy who took advantage of it in the second heat was Doug Henry, number 8, and Ryan Hughes, 22.
So it's a real mixed bag night for the 1-800-COLLECT bikes as they win the 2 heats, but their 2 big names end up playing catch-up from almost a lap behind.
Jeremy, knowing he was out of it, then just had a lot of fun out there, showboating for the fans the rest of the way, knowing that he would have to go to the semifinals.
Something about being, 48 points ahead. It just takes so much of the pressure off. You can have a lot more fun.
It was a good qualifying heat for Doug Henry, who's been battling injuries coming back since a fourth-place finish in the very first race of the season. Henry Hughes Jones and the Japanese rider Koji Okawara in his first race coming back from injury as well. Jerry?
You know I'm going to say, what happened in that big first turn pileup of the century?
I don't know. I have no idea. I was on the inside, and I don't know. Something happened to the right of me. I kind of got hung up on it, but I made it around smooth.
Everybody went down except for you, and then what did you do?
Well, I figured I was just going to go out there and try to win the heat race and get a good position in the gate.
The track, how is it?
The track's good. It's going to be really good tonight. There's some passing out there, and, you know, it's really tight, so there's going to be a lot of banging.
I know you don't care, but McGrath did the knack-knack every time for the rest of the whole race.
That's all right. He can do what he wants as long as I win the heat race.
That's what I like to hear. Good job.
The riders already acutely aware of the perils that face them in turns 1 and 2.
Number 6 was the trigger. He lost the front end. Jeff Emig goes down. Everybody stacks up on top of him. Don't take my word for it. Let's hear how Emig says it all got started.
Well, I drove it in pretty deep, and you know, when I was kind of making my turn, you know, in between the jumps, it was you know, like it was like mud or something, you know, and the front end just fully washed on me. And, you know, I think just about everybody ran into me.
Well, actually, Emig made a little mistake and kind of crashed into me. I thought I was second, but we all fell on each other, and it was just one big cattle car.
Even if it was myself that would have went down, that would have happened. You know, it still could happen in the main event to whoever, you know, just because it's just a sharp left and then a sharp right back again. So, you know, he didn't purposely cause it, and so you can't put all the blame on him, but he's the one that caused it.
Skip Norfolk, Jeremy McGrath's mechanic, with a game face on as they prepare for the semifinal round now after the crash in the qualifying heat. With 8 riders already qualifying for the main, 5 in each semifinal heat now try to qualify.
We're going to have a lot of big names here in the semifinals because of what happened in heat number 2. That should make it more interesting and competitive, perhaps, than what we usually see in the semis.
These were highlights from semifinal number 1. It was Larry Brooks on a Yamaha that got the whole shot and moved into the lead. Kyle Lewis on another Yamaha was second. Number 53, Lewis. Number 21, Jeff Matasevich in third.
And 21 is the man to watch. Matasevich is going to make some pretty impressive moves here, although a lot of this just comes his way. We've talked a lot about Jeff's attempt to get back into factory team action here, but he's doing a good job this year as a privateer.
Right after Jeff Matasevich is Damon Huffman, number 20, riding the 250s in this race. Lewis goes wide on the corner. Jeff Matasevich, good block pass, takes advantage of it and has his pick of the line now going through the whoops.
The good guys don't worry about little obstacles like the hay bale out in front of you in the middle of the racetrack. You just plow right through it.
Craig getting by Lewis, moving into third, but he had tough luck later on.
He's got a problem with his shoulder, and we've not seen the last of that.
Larry Brooks, number 31 out in front, but Jeff Matasevich makes the move on him to take the lead.
That's all intimidation. You run in the inside, you let the guy know you're there, you let him know you could block him if you have to. He gives you room, and you make the pass without touching him.
Jeff Matasevich will go on to win this semifinal round with Larry Brooks in second place, but watch Michael Craig.
His shoulder pops out and causes this crash. It's not the other way around. It wasn't the impact with the ground. The shoulder went first, but he calls it a trick shoulder. Once it popped, there's no way he can hang on to the motorcycle. His foot goes flying, and he's on the ground. He says he's going to have to go have that operated on Monday morning because it happens too often.
He did not make an appearance for the last chance qualifier. That was his last performance here in Charlotte, North Carolina. So it's Jeff Matasevich winning the semifinal round with Brooks, Lewis, Huffman, and DeHoop going to the main event. Our Jerry Bernardo talked with the chicken.
Okay, Chicken, you worked your way up to the front and took that heat race. What was it all about on that slippery track?
It just took me a while to get going. Once I got by everyone, I opened up a little lead. I started real slow. I'm going to have to start a little faster in the main event if I want to be up there.
Okay, the track's going to be a factor. It's a little tight. It's a little greasy.
Yeah, you're just going to have to knock people out of the way if you get a bad start. There's really no way around it. It's definitely not going to, the guy who wins can't be very nice out there tonight. You're going to have to dig in and bang a little bars.
I noticed that when you went over the checkered line, you got in on the style show that's been going down.
Yeah, the crowd here has been really good, so all the riders have been putting on a little show tonight. That's what it's all about.
Banging bars, a possible preview for the main event. We'll see. Craig's 95 ride in jeopardy. Jerry caught up with him.
Okay, we're in the pits here with Mike Craig. Mike, didn't even make the last chance qualifying. No show. You tweaked. Tell me what happened.
Yeah, in the first qualifier of the night, I was making a lot of mistakes and couldn't get around nobody. It's kind of a one-line track, but in the semi, I rode really good. I came from kind of behind and started passing everybody, and I dropped in the whoops one time. My front end dove real hard, and my shoulder popped a little bit, but then I started catching back up and came off this jump and kind of got sideways a little bit, and the shoulder came out. When I fell down, I kind of got back up and it came back in, but just kind of an injury I had a long time ago, but I guess now it's time to get it fixed.
The second semifinal featured some big names who got hooked up in that bottleneck in the qualifying heat.
Not quite as much traffic through turn one this time. Jeff Stanton and Brian Swink get there first. Swink comes out with the lead.
And Swink will hold it the entire way as Randy Richardson, the victim, in turn two.
With fewer bikes there's a smaller pileup. It's just physics or something like that.
Swink, Stanton, Jeremy McGrath, and Jeff Emming. All the big names up front with Cliff Palmer, number 12.
So now the big question, what's Jeremy going to do? Blitz to the front, try to win this thing, or save his energy for the main event? He's not used to riding in the semifinal.
This is lap 3, and he's not content for third place as he takes his teammate Jeff Stanton. Swink still out in front, and he'll ride a very smooth race, the one he was looking for in the previous interview.
Jeremy was smart, I think, to settle for second. No need to get up there and race with the ever rambunctious Swink in a semifinal.
Stanton, Emming, and Palmer also going to the main.
All right, Swinkster, we're going to make this quick. How was it out there? You took that win.
It's pretty good. I got a good start. You know, I don't do that too often, but I did that time. My Suzuki was working real good, and I think if I can get a start like that in the main, I'm going to be right there.
Is it greasy?
It's getting there. The water's kind of working up from the bottom, but you know, it just makes for throttle control, and the smoother guys are going to do better on this stuff.
2 out of the last chance qualifying round. Buddy Antonez and Eric Kehoe going to the main. When we return, the young Steyrs in 125s in their main event. .125 main in Charlotte, North Carolina. Ezra Lusk. 4 straight victories and then a second place at Daytona, is looking to regroup and come back, but he had a tough time in qualifying.
Oh, Yogi's regrouping in more ways than one. This is the heat race outcome as he ended up kind of nose down in the dirt and then told our Jerry Bernardo what happened.
Yeah, I got pushed out first, and then a guy swapped right in front of me, and then I landed on his side, and I crashed. My bike ran over me, and he ran over me, and that's all racing. You know, I had a lot of fun in my last chance. I'm going to go out and try to do one of these little bombs I started from the last gate, but I can do it. You know, I felt good then, and I'm just going to go out and have fun.
Yeah, have fun means win this race. He's got an 18-point lead is all over Jimmy Button after winning the last race in Indianapolis, Indiana.
The trick for Ezra is going to be the start. Because he had to ride the last chance, he does not have a good position on the gate. He does not have a good line or angle of attack at that tricky 1-2 combination, turn 1 and 2.
Ezra Lusk known for great starts, and he gets another one here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Number 17 on the outside. Greg Rand, number 740, cutting in second place, and another bottleneck there. Davey Yezik is down, number 46, and everyone else trying to get around him.
Remarkable that Ezra Lusk was able to get that terrific hole shot from really not a very good starting spot on the gate. Good move.
Greg Rand from Hillsboro, Ohio, in second place right here. But coming on strong is Jimmy Button. And Button, you see him, he drops out of the sky on a great move, making the triple.
Oh, man, if you're going to pass somebody, pass them spectacularly. Rand has got to realize he is in fast company. But look at this. The kid comes right back. Great.
Rand putting a challenge to Button. Button really needs a win here to show confidence in tightening up the points race.
We talked about Michael Craig's trick shoulder. Remember, Jimmy Button has one, too. That was seemingly his downfall at Daytona, although he overcame it, came back and won the race. Now his problem is number 92, Mike Brown. Mike is really aggressive, and he's going to try to get around Button.
Brown has gotten stronger each week. A 4th in the last race, 2 5ths, and a 6th as we go back.
Once again, the big jump there by Button, but it didn't work as he tries to get around Greg Hu. Number 740, Greg Rand, finally gives up the position to Jimmy Button. Folks around Hillsboro, Ohio are not surprised to see this move by number 740, but this is definitely the best he's ever performed in Supercross.
And incidentally, way back in the pack, you can't see him in the camera, number 33, Robbie Rayner. He was 7th from last after the 2nd lap and is really struggling with this course.
Been a very difficult night for Robbie. It's been a difficult season for the young superstar of Team Kawasaki. Hey, when you're 16 years old, this is definitely an intimidating place to race.
We've got a good lineup now as Lusk is out in front. Jimmy Button. There's Rand and Brown fighting it out back in 3rd. And look at the whoops. They've started to wedge out a little bit now. And so there's about 2 lines through the very difficult section as Brown takes to the inside, but Rand comes right back, goes off the track, and Brown takes the lead there.
Brown made the mistake when he tried to square that corner. Rand halfway up the next straightaway bobbled, and it's a position change in the top 5.
Picking up the action in Charlotte, North Carolina, the 125 main. You see Ezra Lusk in first place, being pressured by number 34, Jimmy Button. And Lusk goes down in the whoops. Button gets hung up. That's Brown 92 to the inside. Button back up again and cuts the corner. Rand 740, Ferry 28, all getting by Ezra Lusk. He's not in bad position, though, to make a podium run here as he gets into it pretty quickly. Take another look, Dave.
Watch the front wheel. It caught the face of one of those whoop-de-doos, and the bike just flipped over right on top of him. Yogi took a pretty good shot there. He's back on top of it. Obviously didn't ring his bell, but he's got his hands full with Mike Brown.
Brown, number 92, makes the move inside on Yogi. Yeah, I wonder if Button got a little rubber burn up near the nose on that one, too.
He was appeared to be in perfect position. He had caught Lusk and was right there on his rear wheel. Proved to not be such a hot spot when Yogi fell right in front of him.
Oh, Brown is really looking strong. I wonder if he can challenge now. Ferry's in 2nd place. Jimmy Button in 1st place. He'll have his hands full with Ezra Lusk in this battle for 3rd.
I think Brown's racing the guy behind him. He may be able to put together the kind of laps he needs to run down the leaders, but that's going to be very difficult. I think it's more likely that Lusk will push Brown than Brown pull Lusk.
The riders out in front are starting to pull away from 3rd and 4th.
See how Ezra came short on that triple? I'm not sure he's 100% after that crash. I might want to revise my earlier opinion.
Brown has looked very strong in the early going in his races and has held on for good single-digit finishes. Jimmy Button, however, is out in front and has looked very, very fast this year.
This is the guy who has really impressed me in the 125 class. Sure, you're impressed with Lusk, but after 3 years in the division, you expect Ezra to be fast. You're not surprised to see him winning week after week. What Button has done is overcome a whole series of bad starts early in the year, and in the process seems to have found the speed to challenge Lusk, to beat Lusk at Daytona, now apparently to beat him here tonight.
Yeah, great points in 3 second-place finishes, a 3rd and a 4th. Beside that win at Daytona to keep him very close to Ezra Lusk. He's looking for a win here tonight in Charlotte, North Carolina, though.
Pays 25 points to win one of these things. Lusk had an 18-point bulge coming in. A bad run here tonight, it tightens it up a bunch. The point is, one bobble between either of these teammates, and this thing could turn over.
Well, it would be important for Brown to keep Lusk off the podium, and that's what makes this particular battle so interesting. Robbie Rayner, you see the bike right behind these two, has been lapped.
20 and 18, the point differential between third and fourth. Ezra needs those 2 points. Brown, of course, just a bulldog, isn't going to give a position to anybody. So you've got 2 separate races. You've got number 34, Jimmy Button, out front racing with Tim Ferry, and now you got Lusk trying to get around Mike Brown. I don't think those 2 are going to merge. I don't think these guys are going to catch the leaders, but I'm not going to make any predictions about whether Lusk will get around Brown. He's tough.
What a nice progression it would be for Brown to get a third after a fourth in the last race and a fifth in the race before that. We've got Button, Ferry, Brown, Lusk, and Pedersen. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back to Charlotte, North Carolina, 125 main action. Brown and Lusk battling for the podium spot. Number 92 Brown, 17 Lusk. Lusk involved in a crash earlier as they head for the whoop section. Lusk is putting on the power on the inside. He's got the wheel and the bike now in front of Brown, but Brown taking the shortcut. Oh, nice move. Lusk. Oh, what a battle for third. Great battle.
Terrific position swapping. Lusk tried to make the move in the same spot where he crashed, a sign that he refuses to be intimidated. But look how tough Mike Brown is. Just quickly, you saw them lapping number 740. Greg Rand got into trouble after running in the top 3 early. Now he's a lap down.
Lusk still trying to pursue Brown. Brown gets his pit board there, and an excited mechanic tuner telling him to step it up a bit with Ezra Lusk right on his tail.
Been a while since Brown's been on the podium. Boy, he left the door open there, didn't he?
What a block pass by Ezra. Yes, he did.
And that may be it. Lusk has got the kind of gap that he needs, I think, to get away from Brown, and Mike just left the door wide open. I'm surprised at that. He'd been covering that line pretty well.
We're on the final lap, and Jimmy Button, number 34, looking for his second victory of the year, is out in front and has a good lead on Tim Ferry.
Button's going to whack about a third off of Ezra Lusk's point lead here with 3 races to go. This thing is not over in terms of the championship. Another bad night for Lusk, and number 34 could win the whole enchilada here.
Great friends off the track, teammates. They socialize together, but become so competitive when they get out on the racetrack. Jimmy Button, his second victory of the year, and Tim Ferry equaling his best finish of the season in second place. Ezra Lusk wins the battle for third. He's on the podium. What a great race for Jimmy Button.
Boy, he's so pumped. Momentum is so much a part of this game. He spent the early season having to pass an awful lot of people. Now that he's getting the starts, Jimmy Button has become a very formidable force in this series.
Chad Pedersen moving into the top 5 after winning a heat race, and here you see the top 10. Let's go to Jerry and a very happy Jimmy Button.
All right, Jimmy Button, you must be so stoked. Second win of the year. They're going to see it on tape later on. Let's hear about it. You get a little horror show in the whoops behind Ezra. In your words.
Yeah, I'm just pumped. This is my second time winning in Charlotte. I'm stoked. The crowd is great. My Suzuki did one hell of a good job today. I got a decent start. I got into second, got on Ezra. I reeled him in. I was going for the pass. He made a mistake going through the whoops. He went down. He kind of almost took me with him, but I kept my composure, made sure I stayed up, grabbing my shoulder a little bit, but it's all right. I know tonight that I rode better than anybody out there. Ezra had a good come from behind charge, but me and my Dunlap JT Suzuki, and we kicked their butt tonight.
After a crash-ridden season last year where he had the best finish was a 5th, he's now drawn to within 14 points of Ezra Lusk.
All right, Ezra, you put on a good show. You didn't take the win, but you had a killer battle out there out back after the little horror show in the whoops.
Yeah, I just got pretty hard in the hoops, and Bud ran into me, but it was all my fault. I crashed, and my bike was bent up a little bit, so it was kind of hard to drive from there on out. And once I got behind Mike Brown, he was, you know, he put on a lot of block passes, but it kind of helped me up, and it kind of made me mad, so I started doing the same thing to him, and I was able to get by him, but it was a little bit too late to catch Timmy or to catch Bud.
Yeah, you got up behind Tim Ferry, put yourself on the podium. Are you happy with that?
Yeah, that's kind of good, you know. yeah, third place finish is not bad from what I did all year, and I've still got some good points ahead, and I'm just going to go into the next few rounds and try to win the rest, but just try to ride smart and smooth and not make any mistakes.
Tim Ferry has never finished less than 5th this year after changing over to Honda.
You must be stoked up on the podium, number 2.
Yeah, I felt pretty good. I got a mid-pack start, and I just rode aggressive the first couple laps, got by a lot of people, and lucky for me, it was a pile-up, and I got around a lot of guys.
Okay, it wasn't so greasy as the earlier races. Did it go well for you once you got up front?
Yeah, the track was a lot better. I wasn't expecting it to be that wet in the qualifier, but I knew I'd come out in the main, I could put it all together.
You're trying to get Button, you saw him out in front. Do you think you could catch him, or were you running out of time?
I wasn't really running out of time. I was catching him. I got right up on him, and I dropped back. I fluctuated a little bit, but I felt pretty good. I don't know. I think I brain faded at the end, but that's a good race for me.
When we come back, the massive field of 250s try to fit into the bottleneck in turns 1 and 2. We'll be back after these words. Welcome back to Charlotte, North Carolina. Art Ekman and Dave Despain as we get set for the 250 main. And as we mentioned prior, there's a lot of bikes trying to squeeze into turn 1 and turn 2.
This will be the biggest field of the night trying to funnel through there. And you can just almost sense that it's inevitable. Somebody's going to fall down. The question is who?
Number 11, Larry Ward. Number 6, Emig off to another great start, the Yamahas. And we've got the bottleneck. Huffman is down. Lewis down.
Jeremy McGrath in the middle of it. McGrath's got a bad start.
Palmer, Swink, and Brooks. Some big names all hung up as Doug Henry comes off with the lead.
How about number 7, Mike LaRocco? He's been plagued by bad starts this year. He's out 4th tonight and moving. Look at the attack on number 11, Ward.
The move on the inside by LaRocco. He just can't quite get it because of the angle. Ward has a better shot at that turn, but LaRocco, great acceleration. What a matchup with Emig right in front of them.
It took 3 tries and half the racetrack. LaRocco finally completed the pass just by being persistent. First lap, you got to pass people.
After seeing that great battle between LaRocco and Larry Ward, don't forget, McGrath is back in 14th spot, so LaRocco's got to feel the opportunity is now for his first win of the season. Henry's out in front. Emig next, LaRocco, and then Larry Ward. Checking is in back of Ward.
McGrath's going to make some new friends back there. He's going to run with people he hasn't seen this entire season.
Steve Lamson also moving up as we see LaRocco. Lamson is right behind number 11, Larry Ward.
Ward's in trouble there. He got a little offline going up over that jump and will probably end up losing a spot. I was about to say he's kind of racing for the home fans here. He's originally from Washington, but he's been living in the Carolinas now for several years, so this is the closest this place comes to his house.
Out in front is Doug Henry. He's looking for his first win in 250 Supercross. Emig, LaRocco, Lamson, and Mike Kudrowski now has moved up into 4th.
Dave Arnold and the Honda people have got to be pumped about this. Their big stars, of course, are McGrath, the reigning champion, and Stanton, the 3-time champ. But here is their upcoming 125 rider, last year's 125 champion, Doug Henry, leading the race. And his counterpart, relatively new to the 250s, number 4, Steve Lamson, running 4th. That's good for the future of this team.
This tighter course shows up in quicker lap times, unofficially around 43 seconds for Doug Henry. The leaders now are heading toward the whoop section. As you can see, they're starting to run out. There's only really 2 lines, inside and out, that the good ones will take. Oh, and Henry bobbles.
Yeah, he had to switch lines in the middle, didn't he? And that's not what you want to do. That's the same place where Lusk got in trouble.
We'll be back with more 250 action in a moment. Back to 250 action from Charlotte, North Carolina. Doug Henry, number 8, in the lead with Emig picking up the interval. And back in 3rd, number 7 is Mike LaRocco, and Emig slides out like a dirt tracker.
Hey, go for it. Try to make the pass. Try to win the race. 2 guys who have never won before. He just didn't find any traction. I wonder if that hay busted loose there and laying on the racetrack might have started that. Got the rear end loose, and it just came around on him.
It is very hard-packed soil, so in 2nd place now is LaRocco, but Emig got up and going before Kudrowski could take over 3rd. Lamson is behind Kudrowski now.
A lot of new faces up front, and that's good to see. We talked about Team Honda, but consider the fact that Emick, number 6, has never won a 250 Supercross race. Lamson has never won a 250 Supercross race. Kedrowski's won only 3 in his career, so these are the guys we're going to be talking about for the rest of the decade.
Kedrowski trying to take advantage now, pick up on Emick before he totally recovers and clears the cobwebs out of his brain. McGrath has gone down in the back of the pack. He still continues to have problems and will have a real tough time gaining some decent points in this race. It's Henry, LaRocco, Emick, Kedrowski, and Lamson in that order.
And look what a great race we have, Art, when McGrath isn't up front. He's back there in the traffic racing with some new faces. And meanwhile, we've got a terrific scrap for the lead here. Ooh, that was Emick trying to get inside on LaRocco. Couldn't quite pull it off and avoided the temptation to just blast him out of the way. Now LaRocco's struggling.
And Emick, along with Kedrowski, fly over LaRocco. LaRocco's not going to stay back there too long, I have a feeling.
Here's how it happened. Mike hit that jump with his right foot off the peg, threw him up over the handlebars. He lost all of his momentum and couldn't make this triple, and as a result, he went from 2nd to 4th.
One of the most competitive races of the year, and as you pointed out earlier, there's LaRocco putting the black pass on his teammate Mike Kedrowski. Well, if they weren't teammates, they'd be slugging it out right now.
Well, you want to be real careful about knocking your teammate off, and he didn't, but he definitely hit him on the way by. LaRocco coming right back from the bobble, moves back to 3rd. This guy is really aggressive.
Emick, the Green Machines, and Lamson in that order as they start to take on the lappers coming through the whoops.
Now remember, this is all for 2nd spot, and the guy who's loving every minute of this is Doug Henry, because while these guys beat on each other, he's building up his lead.
Both LaRocco and Kedrowski trying to pick up space on Emick, number 6. Emick wide. LaRocco cuts inside. Here comes Kedrowski, and Kedrowski, can he get by? Yes, he does.
Emick left the door open. LaRocco came blasting through. Kedrowski figured there was going to be room if he followed LaRocco, and sure enough, it paid off. This time it's Emick from 2nd to 4th.
Lamson is the next who'll try to take on Jeff Emick.
Look at the difference in these two passes. Here's LaRocco up the inside of Kedrowski. Wanted to get a little further by him and didn't, and hit him a little bit. Not enough to really hurt Kedrowski. Here he comes up on the inside of Emick. He's a little further past him, and he's able to complete the pass without any contact. Kedrowski was also able to shoot through, and Emick lost 2 spots.
Lamson, Emick, Larry Ward in that order as we check the back of the pack. And there's Jeff Stanton, number 5, who's been mired in the mid-pack most of the race.
If you've just joined us, Jeremy McGrath did come to Charlotte, but he hasn't done much since he's been here except crash in the first turn.
And Michael Craig not making the field in the last chance qualifier is, of course, not in this field now. Henry out in front as he's got about a 3-second lead on LaRocco. LaRocco starting to turn it up a notch.
LaRocco is definitely gaining on him. Free of the traffic, LaRocco is cutting a lot quicker laps than Henry, and if Doug can't get back on the pace pretty fast, he's going to be in big trouble.
Yes, it's now varying between 1 and 2 seconds behind Doug Henry.
Note, too, that LaRocco has Kedrowski there with him to kind of push him. LaRocco is the man to watch right now.
And it looks like he's got the determination. He's stepping it up. Henry trying to stay out in front. Mike LaRocco Sr. giving the encouragement in the pit board saying, do it. I think it said on the, yes, do it. Do it now.
He's been doing it all night. He got the good start for the first time, and he's not about to let that opportunity get away. Mike LaRocco wants around number 8, Doug Henry. Mike LaRocco wants to win this race. He hasn't had a victory since the opener of the '93 season, a year and a half ago.
Here he comes. We've got the challenge now. Henry and LaRocco. This is such a tight track. Will LaRocco pull this bump? Big bump. Henry goes down. Kedrowski passes. A Lapper passes. And Henry is not only going to lose number 1, he's off the podium by a big margin. He can't get the bike started. And there's Mike LaRocco. Well, they warned us at the beginning it was going to be a bar banger.
Here he comes, and he just basically knocked him off. It takes aggression to get around on a tight track. I wonder what Henry will have to say about this. Of course, the other side of that is that Dale Earnhardt became a household name, making passes like that in stock car racing. It's what you got to do on a tight racetrack.
Well, we haven't seen much of number 5, Stanton, since he got held up in the first turn, and Larry Ward makes the pass. 5th place.
Tight whoop section is the key to speed or disaster. We've seen it all night long. Ward really got through there in a hurry.
He looks determined to hold off Stanton. His best finish of the year was a 3rd at Anaheim. He's had 4 top 10 appearances so far this season. And he hits for that big rut, and that big rut's been a problem. He goes down. The front wheel just hooked.
That's exactly it. He hit the rut wrong and found himself on the ground. What a bummer. He really didn't need that tonight. He's had a pretty good season going.
I think that's what happened to Mike LaRocco earlier when he had problems in that same turn. But right now, Mike LaRocco has no problems to speak of as he's out in front.
Working around Cliff Palmer, putting a lap on him. Speed, speed, speed. We always see LaRocco go fast. We always see these blazing lap times. But look what's happened there. Mike Kudrowski's caught him. Meanwhile, here's Jeremy way in the back.
Jeremy mired in the mix of also-rans most of the race. But he has come up into the top 10.
We show him in 9th spot now, Art, and that's after 2 fall downs, one in the first turn that took away the opportunity to win the race, and then he fell off again trying to catch up.
Okay, now Kudrowski trying to challenge his teammate LaRocco.
This thing may not be over yet. I think Kudrowski's got a little Daytona spunk left here.
Okay, LaRocco leads it, but Kudrowski's on the run. Toward the end of the race now in the 250s from Charlotte, North Carolina. LaRocco in front, but Kudrowski is not giving up. There's Shane Nally, Kudrowski's mechanic, giving him some encouragement now as this race is winding down.
He's running out of time. He's got to ride a perfect lap here to get to LaRocco. See the gap? What is it? 3, 4, 5 bike lengths through that whoop-de-doo section that's been the nemesis of many here tonight. LaRocco's going to be tough to beat.
You notice, Dave, LaRocco took the outside slingshot move to go into that finish line jump. It'll be interesting if Kudrowski can pick up any space if he does take that same turn.
He's going to have to really make a charge here, Art. It's one thing to catch LaRocco. It's another thing to get around him. I think he might be able to catch him, but I don't know if he'll ever make the pass. Let's see what the gap. Nah, that's just too much distance.
The track really getting rutted up right now as well. LaRocco and Kudrowski headed for the whoop section. This could be a telltale story right here. Kudrowski picking the same line, coming up tight with LaRocco. LaRocco, he goes to the inside, protects his lead. Kudrowski can't get around him. It's LaRocco with a great ride by Mike Kudrowski as well. Lamson will get his best finish of the year and first podium finish in 3rd. Lamson very consistent, steady the entire race.
And of course all of this at the expense of Doug Henry, who had his best opportunity ever to win one of these things, and LaRocco knocked him out of the way.
Give Jeremy McGrath some credit, though, coming all the way back from what, 14th to 7th place, and protects some valuable points now as he looks for a runaway in that points chase.
Terrific performance for LaRocco. Been a long time coming, but boy, when he won it impressively.
LaRocco, Kudrowski, Lamson, Emig, and Stanton for a 5th place finish. Ward, there you see Jeremy McGrath and Henry finally getting it fired up again for 8th. Let's go to the winner.
All right, Mike LaRocco, if you are not stoked now, I am totally going to flip out and jump on you.
Man, I'll tell you what, there just wasn't any.
That's it, you stoked?
No, you got to jump on me. No, actually, it's a good, I'm glad to finally get one under my belt, but it's a little more relieving to me than I am stoked about. I'll be happy a lot later.
You've been digging in really hard all year. You put a big move on Kudrowski to get out front. What was up with that?
This is just kind of track you got to be aggressive on, and, I wasn't riding like myself early in the race, and, after I made those mistakes, I told myself I ain't blowing another one, so I went back at it.
So you finally put yourself where you wanted to be, in the middle of the podium with the big trophy.
Yeah, actually, I started off finally leading the lap this year in the Supercross, and I knew once I was there I had the potential to do it, and I was going to do it.
All right, well, good job, and I'm happy for you.
So Jeremy McGrath still dominates with a 39-point lead. The real battles for 2nd and the Kawasaki crew.
was it for you? Got yourself up on the podium with your teammate Mike. He's stoked. How about you?
You know, I'm pretty happy with Kawasaki getting up in front. You know, both of us finished first and second, and you know, it's just I didn't ride aggressive enough out there. I should have been slamming like he was, and you know, that's the way you have to do it out there on the tracks right now. You know, some of the tracks are real tight, and that's the only way you can pass. You know, it's not wide enough to have two lines in some of the turns and stuff. And the whoops were, you know, a big advantage there too. You can make some passes there, but it seems like he just won a little bit worse than me.
Lampson coming back from an 11th place finish in Indianapolis to get on the podium. A fine job.
All right, Mr. Lampson, it's the second time we meet. How was it out there? What'd you just say? You had a flat the last few laps?
Yeah, I think the last 4 laps, I felt it going low. I could feel it going off the face of the triples, going all the way to the rim. Didn't know if I was going to make it. I just kept riding and straight ahead of Imig.
Okay, you were on the pipe earlier in a couple of heat races. You used all that talent and got yourself up on the podium.
Yeah, I was pretty pumped. I mean, in that heat race, I rode really good, and I rode 20 hard laps in that race. Besides the last few, you know, I just had to struggle to keep in there. So I'm really happy.
A little family parental portrait here. The Larocos, very proud of their young man for his first win of the season. I hate to remind you, Dave, but McGrath, Kedrowski, Larocco, Stanton, that was my order in the beginning of the year.
Can't argue with that, Art.
Art Ekman along with